Hello and welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda and we're here today to give you another installment of the Dresden case study that we're doing. Today we're going to be covering how to make a Dresden into a medallion, which is kind of a cool thing that I've seen, and it is just, it can be lots of fun. It uses up lots of scraps. The other thing I'd like to point out to you, or point you in the direction of, is Julie and Brittany of Stitches of Love. They're a quilt shop that has a YouTube channel that is just, they're always into doing something fun, loving. It's just great. They are a quilt shop, and I do believe they have an online store. So go check them out, and when you do, and if you subscribe there, tell them Brenda sent you. Now, I have worked ahead on this, and I have made a jelly roll race. So we're going to cover variations of a jelly roll race in a couple of weeks, but just kind of the standard jelly roll races have been done to death on YouTube, and I'll explain it when we get into the sewing. And I don't know when we're filming. We have a Facebook group, and I'm not sure because of when the video drops, whether we're going to have a virtual sew date coming up or we'll be voting on another virtual sew date. So the Facebook group is in the show notes below as well as the templates. So come on in, let's get to the sewing. Okay, so I've used the 18-degree ruler, and you need, for this project, you only need 5 Dresdens per block, right? I mean, so what I've done is I've just put it on a piece of muslin fabric, and I'll just put this ruler to the side. And what I have done, now I know this sounds weird, is I have just gone through and sewed around the curves, right? Because we're going to be making a medallion. We don't want it, you know, we have to do some sewing around, but it makes this easier to turn, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to steer around the bottom curve, and it's a tiny curve, so take your time. And there. Now we're going to sew around the top of the curve. Okay, and we're just going to make sure everything stays open so it lies nice and flat. Because what we're doing now is we're setting up this to be appliqued onto our jelly roll race. Now, jelly roll races have been done to death, and I just did a standard jelly roll race, but I added more strips in because I have them, and I wanted my quilt to be a little bigger. So there we go. There it is. Very quick, very fast. That's what it is. Now, what you're going to do with this is you're just going to cut this out. Now, this is cheap stuff, and I have hordes of it. Hordes and hordes and hordes of it. So I don't even look back on it anymore. I just like, yeah, we'll just use it, get it out. If you wanted and you had lots of interfacing kicking around your sewing room, you could use that as well. You know, it's just a method of turning your curve and making sure your curve stays nice and flat and keeps its shape while you're maneuvering it or manipulating it onto backing or a quilt top like a jelly roll race. So there we go. We take our pins out, and now I'm going to turn this inside out because these sides are open, right? These sides are open, so you just turn it inside out. Now I'm going to turn it out, and I'm going to give it a really good press. And since, you know, it's boring to watch somebody iron, we will be right back as soon as we iron this. Okay, now that I have this all pressed, you can see it makes a really lovely curve, right? I mean, and I've just left this on for now. I've just left this on. And I've done 11 others. So now you need 4 of each, right? So when you're laying this out, this is going to go, okay, these 4 get sewn. These 4 get sewn like this, and these 4 get sewn the other direction, right? And you're sitting there, what will that create? Well, let's see. Let's see what it'll create, because I had a funny feeling some of you just like, what is she doing? So we're going to do just the first 2, okay? And turn the light on, get rid of this. And we're lining these up. We're needle matching along this line. Now, medallions, if you know, when you're doing a medallion quilt, right, basically you're just going to be putting in a quilt block, and you're going to be like appliquing it on top. Now, I know some of you just like, oh my gosh, she's appliquing. You know, appliquing gets a really bad rap about being difficult, and it doesn't have to be difficult, because this is all pretty much, you know, you're just sewing this, right? You're just sewing it down in place, and you give it a good 1/4 inch seam, and you needle match so that that 1/4 inch is right there. And you sew them all the same way with the same. Like if you had a very different looking, you know, this was all over the place. It had a bunch of scrappy, you know, colors in it, and every fan was different. It wouldn't matter how you sewed them, but you're going to sew them so that they curve first in opposite directions. Basically, you're making an S, the start of an S, and you're not worrying about anything other than getting these together. Okay, there we go. Last one of these. Now, you're going to lay all of these out. Now, I'm just going to run my plug through, just so I can lay all of them out. Okay, I'm going to lay all of them out again. It looks like a funny shape, doesn't it? It doesn't look like it's going to make anything. Just like that. I'm going to lay them all out the same so they all be sewn the same. Oops, just like that, right? Like kind of an S shape. So what we want to do now is we want to do the curve. This part of the curve, right there. So now we're going to do this next. And we're going to put them just the way you would sew 5 Dresdens together, except now they're backed. And you're not needle matching, you're getting them as close as you can. There. And there's the next one. Goes through. And you want to line up these edges, right? And this edge here. So you can pin if you'd like, or you just hold it in place and let your machine do the work. But, you know, this is all bias, both the front and the back, and the lining is on bias. So this gets really stretchy. So it's easy if you think you're a little off, it's easy to kind of put into place, but don't do too much pulling, because you might stretch the piece out of shape, right? So, line this up. Okay. That's perfect. It goes just like this. And 4 little things. This is a cool way to decorate a quilt. Now I picked grays because I kind of like the grays I had, and they were mostly cool tone grays. There's just like maybe 1 or 2 in there that are kind of right on the borderline of cool tone, and they might not look as cool tone as the rest of them, but you know, it's fun to, greens usually are cool tones, so I decided to go that way. Okay, so we got all of these done. Well, now we're going to line them up like this. And we are going to sew, okay, 2 like this. Oh dear. 2 like this, just like this. Now we're going to take this green piece here and sew it here, right? So we got 1, and we got the other one. Whoops, we got to go the other way. There we go. I only have 3 different fans here for this medallion, right? So what I want to do is I want to take this one and this one, put them together. Now again, you're going to do a needle match as you're putting these together. You just gonna line that up. Put that out of the way. There we go. Okay, and this one, same thing. I'm going to flip all that out of the way because it looks kind of like, what are you sewing? But it does work. You just have to get them all together. And now, okay, there's my little plug. Get the plug off. I wish I could, some of you commented that it's hard for you to concentrate on what I'm doing if I've got like a leader ender. So we've tried to, you know, not have that going on as we're doing this. Oh, there we go. And these two now, we start joining these pieces together. The same way you just finished joining the last two pieces. So we flip this over, we get this figured out. And you just take your time, there's not a race. If it's a race and you're feeling pressure, maybe, you know. I'm doing this because oh, my needle came out. Whoa, stop. Okay, there we go. Let's get this back in place because I don't know why my needle came out all of a sudden, but it did. Okay, we got the machine working again, and we're just going to sew these two together like so. We'll try to get a real good picture at the end because I know this is kind of, because it's big, right? And it's kind of hard for maybe to see what was going on. So anyways, what happened was the needle fell out of the holder on my sewing machine. So that's why we had this cut. And then we went to test it, and then the needle broke. So, and when your needle breaks on your machine, it's a really good idea to try and find all of the pieces. Because you don't want a broken needle running around inside the machine. So yes, it was quite the mess here. There we go. Let me just get that off. And now, okay, final seam. Now you have to kind of lay this out so you know it's not twisted, right? So I know that sounds really weird, but you don't want it twisted in a continuous loop. So this is where we're going to sew. And we're just going to put this back like so, just like so. And then, okay, get it all lined up, just so. There we go. Now right where you want to do like a needle match with these ends so that the needle is coming out right perfectly where the pieces cross. And you only need 12 of these then to make a medallion, right? So now, I'm just going to go the other way. Off. There we go. So now we have all of this all sewn in a very long medallion. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a piece of this and we're going to open up our jelly roll race, and we're going to start pinning it in place. Now I'm going to ask our cameraman to switch over to the cutting table so we have a little bit more room to do this. Okay, what we're going to do here now is I've just smoothed this out. I've sewn all the pieces together. So I've got this, you know, pretty well managed. And I'm going to just pin everything in place to my jelly roll race. So what happens now is this thing starts to take shape, but you don't want it moving when you're sewing, right? So I always do around the outside edge first, and I take my time and I just pin everything. So don't be in a big rush for this. And there we just, and I lay out my points, my compass points first, you know, like north, south, east, west. I lay those out first, and then everything just kind of falls into place. Any ripples that you find, they will quilt out. By the time you're done, see, once we get this put on the quilt, and just excuse my reach. By the time we get everything put on the quilt here now, I'm going to slide it forward so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to do the outside first, top stitch, and then the inside and top stitch. And then what's going to happen is you're going to take from the back and you're going to clip out all the excess fabric, right? That includes this backing and this part of your quilt, right? Because you don't want all that extra bulk there. So, and like I say, this comes together really quick. And it's a striking modern way of putting in a medallion. This thing is not centered. You can center it if that's what your brain likes, is centered medallions. You can do that, or you can offset it. But this is what I like to do. And it gives a different look to your work. And we are done. So now we're gonna start sewing this. Okay, so here we are after we got it all pinned in place. You know, you've got the works laying kind of flat. Now, where did I've lost my foot pedal. We had to shuffle around stuff to show you the table. So anyways, what we're going to do is I've already got my thread drawn up, and all I'm going to do is stitch around, just top stitch around the curve. Now, this is not really a curve, but it's more of straight on straight on straight, but it looks like a curve, right, because of the angles. Now, you just keep maneuvering and going around. Take your time. Pin, over pin if necessary, but, you know, just, I like to start in the outside first and go to the middle. And as we're running around this, you can kind of see that it does lie flat. And one of the things, I open these. I try and move these open, if at all possible, or to one side. And that way they lie a little flatter and you're not looking at a great big lump and joint. And this one will not press open. So, hey, this is what we're going to do with it. So we're just going to stick it in. And as we get closer, we're just going to push that seam under so it hides a little bit better. And you can use a stiletto. I'm using a knitting needle because that's what I have. There we go. And now we'll just keep going around here. So everything else has been pressed open, you know, so they lie relatively flat. Now I'm going to keep going all the way around the top, or the outside, and then I'm going to hit the inside curves, and we'll get to our ta-da moment. So here is our Dresden Medallion. Now, okay. Now I'm not going to show you the back, because there's more than one thing here filmed, right? So this is what this kind of looks like now. And it does pull out a striking, you know, like if I had more dark here, it would probably bring it out, pop it out more. But it is a striking contrast against this gray. So I hope you try this. You can also play with this design. I would love it if you took this and made this your own. And you did whatever your heart desired with this. This would be just absolutely perfect. So I hope you have a fabulous week ahead. and I hope everything goes okay for you in your sewing room and in your life in general, okay? You have a great day. Bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for watching today. We're so happy about the way our channel has grown, and we just want to wish you so well in your journey along with us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Now, the next thing is this quilt. We are wondering if you guys would like this quilt as a free sew along on this channel this fall, this coming fall, winter. We were kind of thinking that this one would be really fun to do. We could do it in a larger size or a smaller size, it's up to you, but this one was a lot of fun to make. And it's all, it lends itself to being hand stitched, but you can also do this on a sewing machine as well. So let us know in the comments below. Remember, share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Okay, have a great week ahead. Bye!